My name is అక్కడ క్లిక్ చేయి ఏది అవ్వట్లేదు అక్కడ కూడా మారుతుంది ఆరోపేలు ఒకసారి వస్తుంది.
Venugopal sir, am I audible to you?
Yes, yes, Lord.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm A.V. Venugopal, a Senior Research Associate at the Institute for Transportation Development Policy, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all for the third online workshop of the Streets for People Challenge. A heartfelt welcome to the senior officials, engineers, project management consultants, and the different stakeholders who have tuned in to this session on Zoom as well as YouTube. The session today will focus on how to embrace a participatory approach for the city-led design competition that with some cities have already launched and many of you are in the pipeline of launching as well. A quick look at the agenda for the day. As you see on your screen, we will have the introductory address by Mr. Rahul Kapoor, Director, Smart Cities Mission, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. followed by which we will have a very interesting panel discussion with 3 cities. We have Vijayawada, Nagpur, and Karnal, 3 cities who are in the process, and 2 of them have already launched the design competition. We'll hear from them on the process that they took in identifying the locations and their plans of doing outreach and of conducting the competition itself. This session will be moderated by Ashwati Dilip, Senior Program Manager at ITDP. The last part of today's session will be the technical presentation, which will be on how the cities can conduct the working audit and the steps that you need to take right now towards the evaluation process and what this process itself will look like. So this session will be taken by Angi Shah, who's a research associate at ITDP, and we'll be wrapping this up with a Q&A session as always. Before we jump in, a few housekeeping rules as always. Participants and panelists feel free to chat and interact with each other in the chat box throughout the session. If you have a question, type it in the Q&A box. Our team will shortlist them. If you are viewing the session on YouTube, you can put it in the comment section. Our team will shortlist the questions from them and we'll address them in the Q&A session. Finally, if you have a question that you like that someone else has raised, kindly upvote them so that it will bring it to our attention as well. So before we begin, a quick glimpse on the progress that many cities have done over the last few weeks. So these are just a few glimpses, and I'm sure that all the city teams and nodal officers have been seeing the updates on the different platforms in Telegram and WhatsApp as well, wherein 22 cities have formed diverse teams. We have 24 cities who have launched very interesting social media campaigns. Moving on, we have 23 cities who have launched Open Streets campaign. And we'll touch upon this a little briefly towards the end of the session, where you have images which are very impactful, and it's hard to believe that these are actually in Indian cities. So cities like Kohima, Jabalpur, and others have done a great job with Open Streets campaign, and the word of the streets of people is spreading far and wide right now, thanks to all of you. And to the last piece on the city-led competition, which 20 cities have identified at least one pirate location. We have around 3 cities who have launched the competition, and even a few minutes before this session, our coordinating team was discussing with a few cities who are sending in their briefs. And I think next week we'll have another 6 to 7 competitions that are going to be launched. So great to hear these updates. Without any further delay, it's my pleasure to invite Mr. Rahul Kapoor, Director, Smart Cities Mission, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, to deliver the introductory address. I think Rahul Kapoor sir is not connected yet, so we'll come back to sir once he's joined the session. So we'll move on for now. So the focus is now on the panel discussion. And for the panel discussion, I invite Ashwati Dilip to moderate the discussion. Ashwati Dilip is a senior program manager at ITDP who leads the Complete Streets strategy, policy, and project works. With that, over to you, Ashwati.
Thank you, Venu. It was really nice to hear all the progress that the cities have been doing so far from you, Venu. And I think we're right now at a very exciting point in the Street for People Challenge, where we're getting ready to launch our city-led competitions. And today we have with us 3 cities, Vijayawada, Karnal, and Nagpur, who will share with us their journey of how they selected their sites and how they're putting together their briefs and what their plans are for outreach to invite and inspire designers to apply for these competitions as well. And we hope that all of you are inspired and start putting together your briefs very, very quickly. So on the panel today, we have with us Ms. Sharada Devi, Additional Commissioner Projects Vijayawada, and Mr. Imran Basha, UN Habitat Coordinator. Representing Karnal, we have Mr. Nishant Yadav, IAS CEO, Karnal Smart City Limited, and Swaroop Mukherjee, Urban Transport Specialist. From Nagpur, we have Ms. Bhuvaneshwari, IAS CEO, Nagpur Smart and Sustainable City Development Corporation Limited. I'd like to invite and welcome all the panelists to this discussion. So just before we start the discussion, I'd like to request all the cities to kindly stick to about 7 minutes per presentation. We will ring a bell at the end of 4 minutes and once at the end of 6 minutes to remind you to wrap up the presentation. So first, I'd like to request the officials from the city of Vijayawada to present.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Imran. Ashwati, can we go ahead with any other city? Since our additional commissioner, she'll be joining in 10 to 15 minutes. She
Sure.
had an unscheduled meeting at the secretariat. She's on her way. In 10 minutes, she'll be here.
Sure. Thanks, Imran. So,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
can we then move to Karnal? Can I please request the officials from Karnal to present?
Yes, hi, Dilip. I just wanted to let you know that our VC, our DC sir is very busy with the fact that today we have a farmers agitation in near Karnal, so he might not be able to join today. But
Sure.
I can start, presenting this to Karnal.
Sure. Yes, Mr.
If you
President.
can.
Please, yeah, please go ahead. So if you could just, share your screen with the presentation.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Swarup from Karnal Smart City. We have been working on this city street challenge competition since a long time. Before that, before we start going too deep to this, I just want to mention what is the objective of conducting such a design competition among the people of Karnal. So we identify some of the basic points, like we have the city and we have some highly crowded and high footfall areas where we need to see that the same area can be developed in a way which is friendly for the pedestrians and friendly for non-motorized traffic, and the total ecosystem can generate a positive vibration. People are more attracted to it, and there is a possibility that once it is coming from the citizen itself, then it's the implementation is to be very highly smooth in our opinion. So we identified some of the points before for the design competition. Then when we had started working on identifying the locations where we can start working on such a thing where we can improve the city, the quality of life, the quality of street itself. So we identified some locations where there is more footfall. People are already there. They're regularly visiting those places. Then we try to find out, is there any issue there? Is there okay? Then it's fine. If there isn't some issues involved, then what are those areas? Then we also thought about what is the traffic mix? Is there any conflict between pedestrian and non-motorized and motorized traffic? And finally, we also looked into one thing, that is there any possibility of implementation, also space available, so that we can have some identified improvement which can be a pilot project for the city as a model to exhibit. Then we find out 3 locations. The first one is the Sadar Bazaar Street. It is at the center of the city, and as the name suggests, it's a very old part of the city market area, and it is crowded near to the clock tower, the Ghanta Ghar, and it's the people that they use these areas, the shopping areas, are not only from the people of Karnal, people from the hinterland also come and use it's a market area basically, and the normal clothes and use items of regular uses. So initially, this road is a long road. I mean, it's more than a kilometer, but we identified some part of the total road where, with the help of the police, we put some barricades in it, and some of the major larger vehicles are stopped. So partially it is successful, but still there are small vehicles are coming in for the purpose of the the shops, the goods and all. So these are some of the pictures where we can see that only mostly like more than 60-70% of two-wheelers, auto rickshaws, pull carts, they are there, and in juxtaposition with the pedestrian movement. So there is a conflict, but we partially, you can say that with the help of city administration, there is some check. We successfully adopted that. Then the second location is Kunchpura Road, which is another major street. It is compared to the Sadar Bazaar. This is, you can say, a little high end with the branded shops for the the apparel and leather, other electronics items also. The positive point of this is it has a parallel road, not one, at least 3 parallel roads are there. So before we go into the details, we started working on the possibility that how to, there are issues of parking there. All the people used to park their car in front of the shops, and virtually there is no space. If you can look back, there is no space for the pedestrian. So it's a common problem on most of the cities. It's a 2-lane road with a divider in the middle. So the car, during the peak hours, the cars are moving, and during off-peak evening hours, the crowd increases as goes towards the evening. So to attack this area, to think about it, then we identified 2 locations for a parking lot, the off-street parking lot. One at the northern end, which is Jarnali Koti, and the southern end is the old Sabji Mandi. So these 2 locations with around 150 to 200 ECS car parking area, and those we are all parallelly working on those. So once we can shift these cars, which are just parking in front of the shops, then there is a possibility that some of the portion, because it is not only a shopping street, it has hospitals also, it has temples, so other land uses are also there. So partially we are planning to start working on it, and once this parking lots are ready, then we slowly we can start barricading for the restricting the vehicular users. We can have e-rickshaws also for those who are going to park there. They can use that e-rickshaw as a part of their parking token or something. The third location we identified is in Sector 13. It's you can say it's a residential, predominantly residential neighborhood, but again it has some other land uses also. Some pockets of the street, it has commercial general shops, the food joints in the north, and it has schools, it has parks, some community centers are there, some nursing homes, hospitals are also there. Why we selected this is a little bit different, because you can see by the plan itself, it's somewhat planned area, the new area. Those 2 are the old street, old city. This one is new, and it's a 4-lane divided carriageway with paved shoulder space both the side. And interestingly, it has a very wide footpath, like 5-meter wide footpath average, both the sides of the road. So what we see here, both the sides, there are residential blocks. People are staying there. It is hardly less than 100 to 200 meters, but still people used to pull their cars and park them on the shoulder space. So this can be avoided. So, and then another thing is, because of the natural phenomena, those food carts, those are coming up in those free areas of the footpath, which is not used or utilized or earmarked for some specific uses. So people started, engaging those areas, and with not very organized way. So our intention was that we have a like 1.5 to 2 meter wide paved shoulder space both the side, and we have 5-meter wide footpath. So we were thinking about implementing one cycle track both the side and the footpath with a specific design. If there is vending, then there should be vending spaces, designated spaces for the vendors, and that can be a source of income for the municipal corporation. And there will be enough space, more than 2 meters space for walk people who wants to walk, and there will be space for landscaping also. So this is what we are thinking about, generating a pilot project in future, so that can be replicated in other areas of the city.
Sir, we request you
during
to,
daytime, it's like not very crowded.
Sir, we request you to kindly wrap up in a minute or two. Thank you so much.
This is the picture of the same street in the night. The people are coming with their cars and spending time in the very nice locations. We'll go on. We arranged a cyclothon, this month only. It was highly appreciated by the people. People joined, more than 250-300 people congregated there. And we had planned a cycle tour through that Sector 13 route, so that we, the awareness already started, implementing a final specific non-motorized track there. The other, this is the paper cutting of that cyclothon. The other event that we organized in Sector 6 market area, it's a parking lot basically. We converted that parking lot into a canvas for the kids. The kids enjoyed their whole day, and it was the public people supported it very highly positive way, and it was very successful that way. And then the next day it becomes a parking lot again. It's a pop-up canvas, but there are some pockets where we with our artists and all, we created those snake and ladder, hopscotch and puzzles and all. They are loved by the kids. These are the paper cutting for that. Initially we had a discussion with the DC, our CEO, with all the stakeholders, the councillors, the MLA MPs. And finally, when we went to the Novelty Road, and the other picture here is we went to their places, and the Residential Welfare Association, we had a meeting with them, and we had a positive feedback so far. So we are looking forward to launch the design competition for the students and the people of Karnal, and we wanted to see what exactly the people of Karnal wants to see those places to look like after a few years after the development. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this presentation and taking us through all the initiatives that you've done. So I had a few quick questions. And so it was very interesting to see the 3 different sites that you all have selected. So the Sardar Bazaar Road and Kunjpura Road and Sector 13 as well. So we noticed that, Sector 13 as well as Kunjpura Road, you looked at a larger neighborhood, because one of the interesting parts of this particular challenge is that we're not just looking at the intervention in that particular site, but how is it that you're accessing this intervention, or if there are other things that can be done in the entire area to upgrade or revitalize that area. So, in the Sardar Bazaar Road, you've definitely looked at one block all around, but there's again, for example, the old GT Road, which might actually become a barrier for people to access this particular neighborhood from the other areas. So would you be looking at slightly expanding that, the larger outline so that the area can be further expanded? What are some of your thoughts?
Yes, we also thought about that, and you correctly pointed out this old GT Road is a full of a busy street naturally, and but it is not that there are only 2 or 3 access points from this GT Road. There are several others, and those are just like small lanes, and automatically there is no possibility of vehicle to come to the streets. So of course we will. This is as I said, that is the first phase. We will also look into the larger area for development. Yes, we will definitely.
Sure, because the design competition may give you a great opportunity to get some, very innovative thoughts from your designers as well. And you could always sort of, implement it in a phase-wise manner.
Right.
You could probably think about it. And secondly, I think many cities would have this issue of parking management. And I was just wondering that, research shows that when you manage, especially price parking, is when you're able to control parking. So would you be thinking about pricing parking in your parking lots that you're planning?
Yes, with the help of our municipal corporation and DCM and the administration, we were, because as of now there is no parking. As of now is not there, but there are certain time when police used to come and tow their vehicles also. So it's a risk at the park, the car owners risk. So a more nominal charge we are thinking about, and it's already they have other locations where they're charging. So we are also thinking about this same thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So that I think would be a great idea, because you may also get some,
Revenue, yes.
for
Yeah.
maintenance and things like that. Sure. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you after the other cities have also made their presentations. So
Sure.
next, we'd like to request the officials from the city of Vijayawada to present. Team Vijayawada.
Yeah, warm good afternoon, Ashwita, and as well Venugopal, and also my greetings to from the AMC2 Director Karnal sir, and also the participant cities. So I would like to thank you on this forum that for giving us an opportunity to be listed in the panel. And also due apologies because I stuck up in a cabinet meeting on the FBRM reforms, being Vijayawada is a pilot city. So coming to the Street for People today, the project, we have selected, as I mentioned to under presentation. So myself, along with my participant planners and also the team from UN Habitat Consultant, we together jointly present this presentation. So we have selected, broadly, we have classified our presentation, today's presentation, on 3 broad categories. Please. So it shows an overview of the locations, how we have shortlisted these locations, and how we have managed the streets campaign and other initiatives, the citizen support, and also the joint collaborations, how we are planning. The city is, this is a non-smart city, Vijayawada. So being a non-smart city, we are just competing with other chains. And this is the most second populous city in the state, as well as the third most densely populated city in the world. This will be taken over by my consultant.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Streets for People. So I'll quickly take you through what had been our methodology and approaches and different interventions that we have used. So under typology, first one under flagship typology, we have selected retail areas, which is in Market Street. And the second one under neighborhood typologies, we have selected resettlement colonies. Then, so what the key important parameter that comes into mind is what had been the key considerations for site selection. So first, what we have done is we have tried to assess what are the key activities in terms of existing activities, whether they are, what are the functional activities in the vicinity, and who would be the end users or the beneficiaries. Then next one is the citizen needs. It's not only should be it should be a top-down process. Basically, it should also be an citizen need, and there should be an visibility, so that this project or these interventions would create awareness among the public and make them more oriented towards walking-friendly neighborhoods and such interventions. Third most key consideration, what we have taken is priority focus areas. So each department, since this is a non-smart city, already municipal corporation has got their different municipal function mandates. So we also try to align those projects which are of high priority focus areas related to public uses. And the last one is, it's not just that we implement the Street for People or any campaign or any challenge, but it should actually have a way forward for the city down the line, so that we can leverage these opportunities to reimagine our other streets and also create vibrant neighborhoods for the citizens. Then these are some of the technological interventions that we have used for shortlisting of sites. First, what we have done is we have given few preferences considering the key pointers that I have presented in the slides, and we have given citizens an opportunity to vote for their preference. So earlier we have thought of Besant Road in Market Streets category. We have two options. One is Besant Road and the second one is Shivalayam Street. But for Besant Road, we already have a design in place, and recently that have got approved by the government. So that's the reason that, so we want these design interventions and responses from the citizens. And moreover, we have from the responses, it was also indicated that we can take up so-and-so street in market typology and the other one as neighborhood typology. And both online and offline. So through Google Forms, we have shared with the ward secretariats and also these offline systems. These are some of the glimpses that we have used for those people like offline, we have created various ballot paper systems giving these options for their preference within the corporation and even in the localities where we have shortlisted. And these are some of the key results from the surveys or the key consultation that we had for pilot site selections. So out of the total respondents, there were 59% of the males and 41% females. And from the results, we found that 62% are in favor of this Shivalayam Street, since Besant Road is already being developed by municipal corporation. Only 25% said that we want Besant Road, and around 17% said that they want some other site or they are not in favor of this site. Then coming to neighborhood, 66% said that we want this specific site that we have chosen for our streets for people, and 16% said that none of the above. So I'll not go into a lot of details. I'll just quickly take you through, since the main objective of this workshop is to indicate and highlight those interventions or different strategies that we have used as part of the Streets for People campaign. So the first typology, flagship typology, we have this Shivalayam Street, which is one of the oldest street, which is famous for religious temple, which is known as Kasi Vishweswara Swami Temple. And the major components are commercial activities, cultural activities, apparels, and religious artifacts are there because of this nature of the development that was happening since past many years. Then what we have done is, so here I'll not go into a lot of details. I'll just quickly skim through these. These are like how we had tried to take, try to evaluate. So it should not be a street alone. Whenever we take up some project, we need to assess how that specific intervention or that strategy would have implications on other corresponding activities. This is our street. So first part is around 300 meters and the second one is 700 meters. So what we try to do is we try to map those key important nodes or activities within span of 100 meters, then also 200 meters. And then this is one of the panoramic view of the entire street. You can see that different features where we have this mixed use development. You also have unorganized hawkers and also on-street parking. And there are a lot of traffic conflicts where even for 300 meters, even we ourselves, when we visited, we couldn't walk down the line for 300 meters too because of this haphazard nature. And this is some of the predominant land use zoning that we have taken. So we need to assess what are the different type of land uses that are falling within this vicinity. Definitely, they would be having an implications on planning and development for the future. Most of them around, we can find that 40% is residential and 30% is mixed use. These are some of the key challenges I have already highlighted about no space in terms of parking and unorganized informal sector and all these. And you can also see all these electrical and infrastructure cables lying around. Then coming to our second site, which is an Ajit Singh Nagar. This is becoming one of the prominent site or a prominent area of development within the city, since already ma'am have highlighted that the entire city is of high density, which is much beyond the UN standard of 150 pph. Now the city population is around 185 pph. So what we are trying to do is there is a group housing which were resettled, the slum dwellers and other homeless were resettled here. So this is one of the important site that we thought that we can take up this for our Streets for People neighborhood typology. This is an aerial view. We have this Vambe colony and group housing. Some of them are occupied and some of them are not occupied. Right now, if you can see, most of them you have potential for future development and you have high plotted developments also. And recently, in the last month, VMC's municipal corporation is taking up this eco park development, which is covering in 6 hectares, and that would be a city level park and major amusement activity. So these such additional factors would enhance this neighborhood typology. So similarly, for the street typology, we have also assessed what are the implications and how does this site stand with respect to the surrounding context and also the important activities within the vicinity. Then these are the predominant uses, types of land uses and different activities that are in the vicinity of this neighborhood. And these are some of the key challenges where we have unorganized spaces. And what we, based on our consultation, we found that there is not even a single space where children can play. And we saw that all the children, they were playing next to transformers on the roads. And all these are some of the real life challenges that they have been facing in this neighborhood. And from here, this would be the crux of our presentation. These are some of the streets for promotions, though this is a non-smart city, I'm highlighting it again and again. So Vijayawada Municipal Corporation had been proactive at various forefronts for all the flagship missions like ease of living, MPI, and climate smart cities, and Swachh Bharat mission. So we had been very active in passing on this information to the citizens that VMC is taking part. And these are the campaigns from the recent citizen engagement campaigns, media coverages. And we have recently conducted these open street campaigns within this Ajit Singh Nagar, the typology 2 neighborhood. And we have organized few activities, which was attended by the local residents, RW associations, public health team, and other municipal corporation officials. These are glimpses of few of the activities that we have taken place. Along with not just activities, we also try to map their key concerns. It's not that we just go visit and document that these are the concerns. We need to also identify what are the real concerns of the people. And these are some of the other tools we have used for Street for People information dissemination in all the important public notice boards within the corporation, and as well as ward secretariats in these vicinities. We have placed all these posters and information dissemination. And these are some of the print posters. You can see that we have also created one QR code. Once if you scan this, it would directly take us to this smart cities website, where we have all these Streets for People updated information. Even they just need to scan this and they can get direct link to the registration and participation. And these are some of the social media campaigns in Facebook. Then we have in Insta and Twitter. And since project discussions plays an important, crucial role, so we have regular meetings with our commissioner. So he had been one of the major proactive, and he's the officer who had been facilitating all these Streets for People challenge. We regularly have our internal project team discussions. And coming to our internal project team, since we don't have any PMC, unlike smart cities, commissioner who is our administrative and head of the office. Then next to commissioner, we have our additional commissioner projects as Streets for People nodal officer. Then we have formulated one more similar hierarchy, chief engineer, since they have to execute these pilot interventions once we get the design proposals. And we also have the superintendent engineers and respective engineering department. Then city planner and deputy city planner, they become the key major torchbearer for the planning interventions. Then we have project officer, who is related to all these self-help groups and women participation and all these things. Then next, what we have done is we have identified few ward planning and regulation secretaries and also ward volunteers as part of this. And myself, city coordinator, who had been deputed from UN Habitat for an Sustainable Cities project. So I'm also assisting along with my Delhi head office team. So here we need to have one female member in the core committee of respective cities. Here, the sections that have been indicated in red, we have formulated 3 women core team, core project team. Then coming to the overall program team, that was our internal team. At the national level, everyone is aware that these are the important torch bearers or the important people who actually are driving the Streets for People across India. Then at city level, we have Municipal Corporation and also the Development Authority, Amravati Metropolitan Regional Development Authority, which is the planning and regulation department in the city. So we also identified different associations, RWS. Then we have more than 150 resident welfare associations. And also we also have these NGOs more than 40. And we also have around 1 lakh self-help groups. So what we are trying to do is once this design competition is launched, so we'll be calling them and we'll be having joint stakeholder consultations to emphasize more on Streets for People, how we can actually carry forward this program into action plans. Then we also have identified few local design consultancies, since they would be having expertise in terms of the local conditions, in terms of these design entries and all. These are some of the indicative local design consultancies we have identified, and few of them already shown their interest to take part into the Streets for People. Then other collaborations, already UN Habitat is stationed here, and we also have UNDP city coordinator here who is looking after one specific component of the municipal corporation. Already there is an MOU between VMC and School of Planning and Architecture Vijayawada, and also MOU between UN Habitat and School of Planning and Architecture Vijayawada. We also have one senior urban designer from UDP International. So this is our overall program team that we have formulated. So I think last 2 or 3 slides. coming to pilot project evaluation. So what should we need to look? It's not that we just implement, we call people for their participation, we receive entries. So what we have felt is we need to assess how this project or these interventions would have an urban linkage. So it should actually enhance in terms of area-based transformations. It's not that we just implement a small painting exercise and we say that, okay, we have implemented. We need to see how these are being transformed into need-based interventions. Next, what we need to look is how this project will work in the city context. Since different cities would have different priorities. Since for municipal corporation, I am sure streets for people or such challenges are additional tasks, but still they have to take them on priority, and they also need to see how these can be scaled up. Next one is functionality. How can we introduce any strategic interventions and how can we achieve our target for having local impacts? Then the fourth key consideration, what we need to take is linking existing activities with walkability and also the environment. It's not that we just enhance the walkability by neglecting environment. We should definitely need to take care of the environment, walkability, and linking activities. They should go hand in hand. The fifth component is accessibility. So I'm sure everyone would be aware of accessibility, walkability, and all. The one important point under accessibility is we need to create the essence of the place. It's not just improve the mobility options or walkability. One should feel the essence of place. In one of the meeting I have attended, one of the director pointed out that we may visit the same street. There would be a difference of experience of a place. It depends on the mode you travel. If you walk, you have a different experience. If you travel by your vehicular mode, you would have a different experience. The last one is activities and land use implications. We need to have these into urban forms. So these are the timelines that we have taken. We have, I think, what Venugopal was suggesting, indicating that just before 10 minutes, some few of the cities. So Vijayawada is one of those cities where we were trying to push our competition rollout. These are some of the timelines. And these are some of the activities coming to our process of planning, how we are trying to take these open streets plans and campaigns. So already we have, I have indicated that we found the citizen and professional engagement. So we'll be receiving these design entries and also identify the beneficiaries. So we need to take and review and feedback from the end users too. It's not only from the design entries and not from the government officials. So that we will be testing these pilot interventions jointly with the town planning department, engineering department, design professionals or design entries, and technical advisory committee. Then we'll see what are the key learnings from these pilot interventions and how we'll take up these scale up. So other than this, what we have done is we have formulated special query email ID dedicated for Streets for People for VMC, and also dedicated page in Facebook. And also we have formulated one dedicated command control center number for Streets for People. If anyone from the city, if they have some concerns related to street or this design, they can just lodge one complaint and immediately they would get an acknowledgement ID message that your concern have been forwarded to concerned team members. So this is the last slide. These photographs indicate before the people of Vambay colony have occupied. This was taken during construction. So luckily I could see in one of the notice board, I have taken, this is what it was and this is what it is now. So this was from our recent visit. So what the people need, what we need to take from the Streets for People is what do the people need, and it would go through evaluation and consultative process. Then we need to check how these would bring in transformations through Streets for People. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you so much, Team Vijayawada. I think it was a very inspiring presentation, and some of the very important points that you brought to the forefront was that it's very important to gather citizen feedback, like even when you're selecting the site, because it is for them that we are creating, and it's very important to build their support right in the beginning itself. And it was interesting how you showed that key stakeholders, including children, were brought on board right in the beginning, and their concerns were collected from them as well. And the diversity of your larger team as well as the program team was also very, very interesting. So I'll just pose two quick questions to you two. And one of the things that you highlighted as you were closing the presentation was the fact that this is an area-based intervention. And it's very important for us to look at it as an area. And while you actually skim through your presentation, I noticed that while you had identified the key streets in your flagship initiative, you also looked at a 200-meter buffer area. So it seemed like the BRTS road, which is towards the south of your site, could have actually become a barrier. But because you had now looked at an area which extended beyond the canal on the north and beyond the BRTS corridor on the south, you're really looking at how we could create access to all the citizens from all the neighboring areas to this site. So what are some of the parameters you thought while you were defining this larger site? If you could just very briefly explain some of the key points.
So as of now, what we have done is we have picked the street consisting of 1 kilometer. Right now, we are trying to see till what extent we can have these area-based impacts. So what we have done is BRTS, there is an ownership between the municipal corporation, also from the railways. So to bring in any intervention. So right now, the BRTS is not functional here. So like you rightly said, we can also include the BRTS, but right now, there might be concerns from the perspectives of ownership in order to, no matter if any citizen give, okay, why don't we integrate or do such interventions on the BRTS and also integrate with this, then again, that might be again a lengthy process. It may take again 6 months or 1 year. So at the pilot stage, what we are trying to do is take those quick interventions like that have been said in the Streets for People mandate. And why we have taken a little beyond the canal is there are many informal settlements who come to this area. Like during festivals or these informal sectors, they travel from across the canals and all. That's how this is not in defined area. So we tried to see, okay, immediate impact, at least 100 meters, it would have an immediate quick impact of these interventions. In 200 meters, it would have an intermediate impacts. That's how we had tried to do. And that's not any final defined area. We'll also evaluate as per the design entries that we receive.
Sure. Thank you for that. Also, we noticed that the overall program team shows that there are various organizations that you're collaborating with the government authorities. So, if I could ask, how have you facilitated this particular collaboration? And if you could share some of those learnings for the other cities to also create such a collaboration.
So at national team, everyone is aware that the national team is available for all the cities across India. So coming to the key collaborators, what we have done is under Sustainable Cities project, only 5 cities in India have been shortlisted for this Sustainable Cities project. We have Vijayawada, Guntur, Mysore, Bhopal and Jaipur. So for these 5 cities, there is already an program and project that is going on. That's how we have been deputed here as city coordinators for that Sustainable Cities project. And coming to UNDP, there have been 7 cities that were shortlisted. And Vijayawada is one of those cities under UNDP that they are taking care of all the disaster related. So as part of these collaborations, we are here, and that's how they have got an value addition or added advantage when compared to other cities. And coming to SPA, since what we suggest is municipal corporations, they need to collaborate with the planning and architecture or such research institutes. They play an important role to also in not only in terms of any survey facilitation, they have a vast experience in terms of their past professional experiences or academic experiences. Since we have SPA Vijayawada here, so there is an MOU between SPA and VMC and MOU between UN Habitat and VMC. So one other important factor, what VMC is ahead of other cities is for all the urban design and all the planning related projects, they themselves have formulated an internal technical advisory committee. So that committee comprises of VMC officials as a convener, and we also have members from the Development Planning Authority and also research institutes like SPA and Design designer. So that's how they themselves have tried to strengthen their evaluation committees so that they can get different expertise from different professions. That's how you could find a robust and comprehensive program team.
Sure. Thank you so much, Team Vijayawada. So we will definitely come back to you. Next, can I please request the officials from the city of Nagpur to make the presentation?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can I share my screen now?
Yes, ma'am. Please do.
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bhuvneshwari, CEO Smart City Nagpur. Nagpur, as we all know, it is in the central part of India, and the location is one big advantage for Nagpur. This is the winter capital of Maharashtra. The population is only 2.5 million here. That is the third most populous city in the state. So when we look into the parameters that we have taken for the site selection, it is a land use, whether the land is a mixed land, residential, commercial, and what kind of activities take place there, and what is the need of the people. This we found out through the various surveys. I will be briefing this more in detail in my further slides. Pedestrian footfall, what is the number of pedestrians who are going to use those areas, and is there a real need for this particular scheme in that place? And then historical and cultural influence. Is there any places of historical importance, street activities, whatever we that happen there, and open spaces, parking lots, are they available? Informal vending, and building topology and transport network. So just introducing our core team. I joined as a CEO Smart City just 1 month before. Before that, we had Mr. Mahesh Morone, who was in charge CEO. He's Deputy CEO NSCC DCL. We have Pranita Umbredkar, who's a project manager. This team, what we have made is a combination of people both from within the NSCC DCL as well as people from outside. Say, once we look into these Street for People challenge, we also need team from police department. So we have a DCP traffic with us, and we also have taken architects who are out of our NSCC DCL system. We have taken the urban planner also a part of this. We have taken both the infrastructural team as well as the e-governance team. So whatever, in case of any other projects that we are implementing, their entire heads of the departments are involved into this. The first flagship intervention that I could say is the Birdi market that we have taken. This Birdi market is, when we say the land use there in the Birdi market, this is a commercial, residential, it's a mix of all. The reason why we have taken this particular market is, even once we make this particular street completely pedestrian friendly, the entire people who are living in a nearby area will not be affected, because we have a perpendicular road there. These perpendicular roads will connect to the other major roads, so people will be able to have their transportation in a comfortable way. So this major issue, generally what happens is that once we make a complete street or a complete area as a pedestrian friendly area, then what about the traffic that happens there? Or in case of emergency, how will people go? When we look into the footfall of this area, as you can see, that is 3,200 per hour. So even if a person is in case of any emergency, he will not be able to move here and there. So what we have decided, the main reason for us taking this area is that we have a huge footfall, as well as we have perpendicular roads that enable the movement of the people. Whoever wants to have their vehicle, they can come and park. We have a huge parking spaces also available. We have 3% parking spaces available in this particular area. So this will enable us to have the parking slots and also convenient for the people. So we have also decided to have one dedicated lane for e-rickshaws, so that it's just 1.5 meters, so that they can drop near the shop and also come back. So this will not have any hindrance. And this is one of the heart, this is just located in the heart of our city. So this is a major market that will help in that thing. And next is the need of the people. During the survey, we conducted a 7-day survey. In that, we found people were actually struggling for parking spaces. People were saying, if I take a vehicle, I will not be able to move. And even the pedestrians who are walking were off all the fear. If I go walking, what about the accidents, or what about the vehicle which is coming behind me will come and hit me? And there is a huge traffic congestion in that place. So considering all these things, we started deciding on this area. So once we decided this area we decided based on consultation with both the political as well as the administrative team and the entire public. So we had a great engagement with the people with our 7-day survey, and also through our social media, that helped us in identifying this area. And we have 5 historical structures in this particular place. So once we look into the street activities here, this is more or less an informal vending. So what happens is that people, most of them are hawkers in there. So people generally start believing that it is only because of the hawkers we are not able to take our vehicles move. So right now we will not be in a position to remove the hawkers, but what we feel is, once we have a holistic solution, we can also provide them a proper channel. When we look into the foreign countries, even when we go abroad, we prefer to buy it from the street vendors. But that is not the case in India. So we would want to showcase one flagship market where people can confidently buy from a street vendor, and that channel is also very proper and people are also comfortable. So this is a main reason why we decided into it. So this is a building topology. When we see this is a mixed building topology, since this market, this area is highly commercialized. Most of the building is commercial buildings, but even then we have some residential areas also into that. So that is when we decided that we have the parallel perpendicular streets through which we can divert the traffic, and the parking is also not an issue. The next market is the Mahal market. The Mahal market is not as congested as the Bardi market. We wanted to take two places to demonstrate our street for challenge. So in this we have 1,200 footfall. Here also we have a mixed use. And one major reason why people don't go to these markets, some people prefer not to go to these markets because they feel it is a huge congested area. I will not be able to park my vehicle. I will not be able to go. That is also hindering the market of those areas. So bringing this in these two states will help us to improve their economical status as well. That will help us to bring in more customers for these areas. So this is also a commercial residential. It's a mixed topology. Here also we have the streets that help us in connecting this. So mostly the vendors we have is only the street vendors, and parking as of now is happening only on the street. And every shop just in front of the shop we have the parking. So people prefer to just park in front of the shops and then go inside the park. So this, when we had a discussion with the people, people came to us and said, if you give us a parking in a different place, if I have an old lady or an old man with us, how will we take them? So that's when we decided we will be able to give them 1.5 meter for the electric vehicle that will drop them here, and that will not cause any traffic congestion. Only that will have a movement in a dedicated lane. So if we are able to provide that, they will have both connectivity till the shop as well as not hindrance to anybody. So this transportation network also we have seen. We have a metro station nearby. So both the streets. So once we have the metro station, we are planning to give a connectivity from the metro station to this particular location also, and also to the parking places. Next is our neighborhood intervention. In our neighborhood intervention, we have chosen traffic park. In this traffic park, what is the main thing is we want to connect the park with the other areas in a child-friendly way, wherein people will be able to, the children will be able to freely walk and go to that location and have the fun of their open spaces. So right now, every child is being forced to sit inside the home, and now with the pace in which the cities are developing, we don't have any individual houses. Houses that we have is all flats. In the apartments, the children will not get enough places to play. So we want to make the place friendly for the children. So this is a reason why we have chosen this area. This area is mostly like we have a huge number of vendors there. We have a huge number of street parkings. So, and this is a highly commercial and a residential place. So we want to have a good connection with the park area so that this area becomes entirely child friendly. And we have selected this area in such a way that any number of programs that we get in the future also, this we are going to accommodate it in this area only. We want to develop this particular area as a model area. So we have taken it in such a way this is for any city development project. The next is a Sakardara road. Here the Sakardara, we have a lake. As you can see in the picture, right now we have not got that lake in the way the lake should be. Generally, if we have a good lake, we can have a walk around it and people should feel free to walk. But with the traffic and with the number of vehicles moving there, people are not feeling safe to walk in those places, and we had to make a separate walker street. So what we feel is once we have some lake and other such structures in our city, that should be made as a center for all the activities for people to recreate. So this is a Sakardara road. So this is our various reach out program. We had a huge interaction with the people. The NSSCDCL team went on ground to find out from the people, and whatever suggestions we are putting now, whatever project that we are presenting now, this is all out of our survey from the people only. And we have rolled out the competition, and as of now we have got 35 entries. These entries are from the mixed group of people, students, urban planners, architects, firms, and everybody. So this is we feel we will be getting more representation from them. And we have used proper hashtags and tags, and we have used, we have a special PRO officer for our company. So using him, we have used a lot of newspaper advertisements and newspaper awareness among the people. And we have held meeting with various associations. We have cyclist associations. We have various coaching groups who coach people for jogging. So we had a discussion with them also on what would there be, because once we develop the area as a child friendly and people friendly, we want people to use it as a regular jogging and walking track also. So that also we had a discussion with those teams, and we had been using our social media extensively. The local people, we were able to meet them individually, not in groups, because of the COVID pandemic that was in a little peak in Nagpur. So that is the only thing. Other than that, we had used maximum reach through our social media and with our regular meetings. We had a meeting with the companies also. Our NMC, Nagpur Municipal Corporation, Mayor, Commissioner, everybody were actively involved in that, and Mayor sir personally attended many meetings. So these are some of the newspaper newses that we have given. This is our survey team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was quite an interesting presentation from your end as well. And I think, most of the cities have really highlighted about the diverse team that they've been having. And in your case as well, how you brought police on board, e-governance, including political, getting political buy-in right in the beginning by the mayor actually attending. All of that is, really inspiring for other cities as well, ma'am. And also another thing that I'd really like to touch upon is that the Streets for People, the challenge, especially in the neighborhood typologies, it gives us like a very good opportunity to revitalize our resettlement colonies, low-income groups, as well as mixed-income groups. And especially in the lake, it was very interesting to see that while you're connected, maybe a mid-income group on one side, there was a slum on the other side. And that also has been taken up for this neighborhood revitalization. So, ma'am, one question that I'd like to ask you is that considering, you have two markets and you have these very diverse type of neighborhoods, are there any potential roadblocks that you foresee? And, are there any action steps that you're already taking in order to sort of, handle them when they do come in the future?
Ma'am, right now we are just creating awareness. We are in the stage of creating awareness among the people. We want to tell them why this is important and what is going to be the benefit of this. And once our presentations, once we get an idea on this, like how are we going to make, we would be making the roads, and we will have to regularize the hawkers, or we have to place them in that location. That might be a little problem that we will be facing in the future. But right now we are in the stage of convincing people, and we are in the stage of making people understand what is this project is all about.
Sure. And also, ma'am, vendors play a very important role. They do add a lot of vibrance into our streets. And sometimes, we tend to have the, a mindset that maybe they need to be removed. But in fact, like when organized well, they can actually have, add a lot of value. So let me just bring all the panelists together for one last set of questions. And I start with you, Bhuvaneshwari, ma'am, yourself. Now that, you all are at the last stages of creating your design brief, and some of you all have already submitted the design brief as well. What are some of the, what are the actions that you all plan to take to reach out to designers, such that you all get a great participation from designers, from students, etc., in your city and from other cities across the country as well? What are some of the steps that you're taking?
Ma'am, we initially had a stakeholders meeting. We called all the architectural college also. We had reached out to them. We did it through our social media also, and we had a meeting in our office with all these stakeholders. We had firms, we had architectural colleges, urban planners. So we had a meeting with them, and then we briefed them what this project is all about. And based on that, we have started getting these designs from them. So, and also we have connected to them through our social media and our newspapers also. And we have connecting through them to our phone numbers and our email IDs also. So this has helped us to reach to the most of them. Major thing that would be connecting with the firms and colleges is the major part.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much for that. Team Vijayawada, would you like to share your thoughts on how you're planning to do outreach?
Hello.
Like we have indicated, so what we are trying to do is for outreach, we are also trying to get other important stakeholders from the cities since we need to get their opinion also for implementation, and we are trying to collaborate with ward secretariats. So unlike other cities, we have one unique feature here. We have each secretariat for designated ward. There are 286 decentralized ward secretariat. So that would be one of our tool. And we also have various RW associations who are very active, who actually bring in their concerns as well as the public concerns to the municipal corporation. So we'll take them from the beginning itself. That's how we are trying to target to achieve better results. Yeah.
Sure.
RWS are very active here.
Sure, ma'am. And is there anything that you think we can help you as well? And it will be, great to hear. So that I think Nagpur is doing fantastically with already 35 entries. But if there's anything that we can help, that's also something that we'd really like to take on. Team Karnal, would you like to share some of your thoughts?
Yeah, for market areas, we have a shop owners association. We had an initial discussion with them, with our CEO. And in future also, we are working together with them. And for residential neighborhood, we have the ward councillors, we have RWA, and there are some social activists staying there. One is our Rahagiri team. They are also very active in Karnal. So we already had a discussion, and we are constantly in touch with them for implementation of those projects. Once the design is floated, let us see what is the people's perception. Accordingly, we'll redesign our consultation again.
Sure. Thank you so much for being a part of our panel discussion. It was really, really nice to have all of you all. So thank you once again. Venu, over to you.
Thank you, Ashwati, and thank you so much to the city officials from Vijayawada, Nagpur, and Karnal. It was a very, very interesting session that we've had, and I think all cities came up with different perspectives and learnings that I'm sure that all the 80 plus attendees from different cities who are listening and have a lot to take away from this. Thank you so much. Before we move to the technical presentation, I would like to invite Mr. Rahul Kapoor, Director, Smart Cities Mission, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, to share a few words. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Venu. And it was indeed heartening to listen to all the three cities and the kind of work that they have done in the Streets for People challenge. Now, coming at it, when the Smart Cities mission was launched, it was supposed to be a lighthouse mission, and it was supposed to implement demonstrable projects that others could replicate, and effectively we would have not 100 but 4,000 plus smart cities all across the country. How do we imbibe these smart cities principles? I think it is by way of these campaigns that we are trying to run, be it in terms of the cycling revolution that we want to bring in, or in terms of kind of streets that we would want to have in our cities, the kind of public spaces that we want to make, or the child friendliness or awareness that we want to build in our city planning and design. That's what these campaigns all are about. The whole core principles of smart cities, be it the spirit of competitiveness, wherein these challenges bring in that competitive feeling within us, be it the spirit of cooperative federalism, wherein we try to cooperate, collaborate, try to get in all the stakeholders together in our design implementation planning stage, or be it the stage of full convergence that we talk about, wherein you try to converge with regard to funding, with regard to planning, with regard to the various organizations within the government and outside the government. I think the cities of Vijayawada, the cities of Karnal, and the cities and the third city that was there today of Nagpur, that's what they are trying to demonstrate. These workshops are very important. It's the third in the series when it comes to Streets for People. We have had a series of workshops in the Cycles for Change Challenge as well. What it does is it brings us stories, it brings us experiences. And for many of us who are academic listeners, maybe it might not feel very relevant. But for those of you and the people who are there in the audience who are actually implementing the projects today, it becomes very important, and it is something that they can relate to. It is more contextualized and something that they can imbibe in their programs and their designs and make it more effective. That's the beauty of it, and that's why we will continue to have more such workshops in future, wherein we tend to learn from each other and understand from each other and improve upon our performances. I think peer-to-peer learning, if that is the goal, we are, I am sure, on the right path through these series of of workshops that we are trying to arrange. Active with the work that they've been doing in the cities. And just to talk about it, I think the timelines, of course, we are about to close with the cycles for change. Streets for people will probably be 1.5 months away. And there's another challenge that will come up, and I think it would be open to all the cities, which would be each smart challenge. Each smart challenge is something that we are going to do in collaboration with the FSSAI, and it is basically trying to create a food ecosystem in our cities to have more health and nutrition amongst our cities and our city citizens. So with that, I think I would just like to mention that whatever smart cities principle that we are talking about, all those we are trying to document that in terms of a smart city primer and the guideline which we'll be issuing very soon. So all other smart cities and all other cities that are not smart cities can learn from the 5 years of experience that the smart cities mission have had. So I think that is enough for today. And great to hear all the excellent work that the three cities have done. And there are many more cities. I was given a full list in my talking points. I have not mentioned those. I think it would be sharing and learning experience that would be best done through these workshops and better from the house's mouth themselves. So thank you so much, Venu and Ashwati. Over to you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for those inspiring words. And you rightly said that many cities have, spoken to us over calls and mails and messages that they're finding all these pure city workshops extremely useful to learn from each other, how their processes are, how their engagement tools are. And I think it's, I appreciate all the cities for the effort that they're putting to be part of the panel discussion and to share their learnings on the groups and the chat. Without any further ado, let's move to the next segment of the workshop. We have Angi Shah, Research Associate at ITDP India, who will take us through the process on how to organize the walking audit now that you're launching the design competition, and what is the evaluation process. I'm sure that all the nodal officers already know Angi Shah because she's actively involved in the coordinating space for both the challenges, the India Cycles for Change Challenge and the Streets for People Challenge, as well as in the technical content preparation with the technical team. With that, over to you, Angi.
Thank you so much, Venu. Can you guys hear me and see me? Awesome. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Bala, if I may request you to share the screen, please. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It was great to hear the learnings on the process of selecting pilot locations from the panelist cities. So in that context, let's get started and take a look at what are the next steps. So here in front of you is the roadmap with 4 clear milestones for the Streets for People challenge. First, you have to identify the pilot locations, and this is a step that many of you have already completed. Next, you roll out the design competition. And as already mentioned, cities such as Newtown, Kolkata, Karimnagar, and Nagpur have already updated their brief, and they're receiving entries for the competition already. After that, you test out the winning entries on the pilot sites and eventually scale up and strategize for long-term impact. We also request cities to engage with the community and build momentum for Streets for People throughout every single milestone throughout the whole challenge. Next slide, please. So currently, we are at the second milestone of rolling out the design competition. There are 4 steps towards rolling out this competition. The main idea is to crowdsource innovative designs and involve the city in designing the city. The 4 steps are: first, to update the competition design brief and share it back with us. Second, to spread the word about the competition and get maximum participation. Next, to organize a walking audit with the participants. This is a step we'll be looking at in detail in this workshop. And finally, to select the winning entry. This is also something we'll see later in the workshop itself. So quickly to summarize the last workshop on rolling out the design competition, we had discussed the first 2 steps in the previous workshop. So let's just take a very, very quick look at that. First was to update and share your design brief with us. So we've already shared the design competition brief template with all of you cities with a very simple step-by-step guide that will assist you in uploading this brief and like sharing it back with us. And we will be uploading this brief on the Streets for People official website. So all the cities who have not yet updated the brief, we urge you to do so and share it with us at the soonest. and so that you can begin the competition and start getting participants. Next, to get maximum visibility and participation, we urge cities to spread the word using offline and online tools. We have shared social media and print media templates with you, and you can upload this on your social media channels, websites, circulate them in newspapers, and just spread the word wildly. Yeah, so we also urge you to do more targeted outreach to universities, other design professionals, students who may be in your network to get maximum participation for the competition. Okay, so now let's take a detailed look at the next step in rolling out the design competition, which is to organize a walking audit with the participants. So why should cities organize this walking audit? In order to get designs that deeply respond to the context, the walking audit would facilitate for participants to thoroughly understand the site context, to identify pain points in both your flagship and neighborhood pilot stretches, to explore opportunities to improve the walkability and livability on the site, and lastly, to engage with the local stakeholders. This is, like I mentioned, very important to get contextually aligned design solutions which can be successfully tested on the ground. We will be sharing the walking audit checklist and a guide with all of the cities shortly. This will be like a list of points that should be marked on site by the participants as well as the city officials to better comprehend what the site has to offer. So here are the 5 key steps to conducting a successful walking audit on ground with the participants. Let's take a look. The first step is, just a note over here is that the walking audit needs to be done for every single site that you have selected. So for each site, first you will identify the route for the walking audit. Next, you will identify stakeholders, as it would be good to facilitate these discussions between the participants and the stakeholders. After this, you schedule the audit and plan the agenda for that day. And eventually you let everyone know that the audit is happening. Please ensure that all COVID-related precautions are taken very seriously, and all the relevant information related to this is shared with the participants to ensure their safety as well. Let's take a look at each one of the steps in detail. Thank you. The first step is to identify the walking route. Now, this walking route can be flexible for participants to better understand the site. But from your end, as a city, you could provide them with the start and the end point for this walking route. You can also give a very well-known landmark so that for the ease of gathering all the participants, and you could also give a similar landmark where you want to end the audit, so all the participants can be gathered easily at the start and towards the end. Next, you identify relevant stakeholders for each pilot location. Stakeholders could include, like from the community, you have your shopkeepers, resident welfare associations, schools, any other local institutions. The city administration, the stakeholders could include traffic police and other relevant agencies. And as mentioned before, cities are recommended to facilitate discussions between the participants and the stakeholders during the walking audit, so that the participants are well aware of the needs of the people for whom they are designing. Next is to schedule this audit. And by this, we mean set a date and a time to organize the audit on each of the sites. As you decide the time, please make sure that it's a time when the participants get a chance to witness maximum site activities. And it's also peak hour traffic, so they can notice the chaos and the key pain points that the site actually has, and also ensure stakeholder availability to facilitate the discussions as mentioned in the previous slide. So once you have scheduled the audit, prepare the agenda for the day. Now in the agenda, first, you meet the participants on the site at the given landmark, as we've just seen. You must also conduct an orientation session with them and share this checklist that we will be sharing with you. Next, this will be followed by the walking audit itself on ground along the selected route. Now, the stakeholder discussions should also be scheduled during this time. Once the audit is completed, we request cities to conduct a debrief and a Q&A session with the participants to discuss their experiences and solve all their queries. Based on this, so you can prepare the agenda for the day. And finally, let everyone know. And by everyone, we mean all the registered participants for your city and the stakeholders involved for each site. You can either send emails or simple WhatsApp messages to the participants and stakeholders directly. to inform them and ensure their participation in the audit. So to summarize, for a successful walking audit on ground, these are the 5 key steps. First, to identify the route, which is develop a walking route at each and every pilot location that you have selected. Next, identify stakeholders. The stakeholders could include shopkeepers, RWAs, traffic police, like we saw. Next, schedule the audit, set a date and time, prepare the agenda, and eventually let everyone know. By this, we mean registered participants and identified stakeholders, and let them know via WhatsApp and email. As mentioned before, please ensure all COVID-related precautions are taken up on site and relevant information is shared with all the participants. Also, as mentioned, we will be sharing a checklist with you to conduct this audit on the ground. This brings us to the end of the 3rd step of the walking audit. We will now be taking questions. Venu, may I request you to share questions from the Q&A box? And Ashwati, if you may please step in to take the questions, please.
Sure, Angi. Thank you so much.
Sure. So we have a few questions on the walking audit. So the first one is on, do we need to host separate walking audits for each site?
Sure. So I think Angi very clearly put it out there that the reason why we're conducting these walking audits are, 1, to understand the context, but 2, to actually engage with the local stakeholders. While as well as for the designers to identify any sort of pain points in those neighborhoods. And while the city might have identified a particular site and may have their thoughts, it is an opportunity for the designers to identify if there are other opportunities that they could tap into. So it's very, very essential for us to conduct walking audits for every site that you have. So if you have 4 sites, we will need to plan 4 different walking audits with the local stakeholders in those neighborhoods.
Sure. Thank you, Ashwati. We have yet another anonymous question that's coming. It says that it's great to see parallels with the Cycles for Change challenge, where the walking audit is similar to the handlebar survey in some extent. However, for the participants who have signed up, if they're not able to join for the walking audit, is there something that the city can do to facilitate the sharing of knowledge?
Sure, Venu. I think during the presentation, we had mentioned about the walking audit checklist. So what we said was that as you organize these walking audits, please share the checklist with the participants so that they can actually audit it themselves. We would also encourage the cities to gather the findings from the audit checklist from the participants and put together a crisp report, including the summary of the stakeholder discussions, the question answer sessions that they had, and anything that was discussed in the debrief as well. This could definitely be shared with the participants who could not join the audit, but we have to encourage them to visit the site by themselves so that they understand what the pain points are in that particular neighborhood. And we could also encourage, we encourage the cities to have constant communication channels with the participants, because that can add a lot of value in informing their design and ensuring good submissions as well.
Sure. There's one more question by Mr. Harshal. So he has flagged the concern of the COVID precautions that need to be taken and how peak hour audits may not be possible if we need to ensure the precautionary measures. So are there any solutions that we could suggest on how to handle such a concern?
Sure. Yeah. So I think the cities will have to contextualize the way they conduct the walking audits based on the situation that they are facing. But even if all the participants cannot come together at one particular point to see how the street is during the peak hours, we could encourage them to come at on different days to see what the situation is, so that they can their designs could be informed by what is actually happening at peak hours as well. But yeah, each city would have to would have to contextualize when and how they plan the walking audits.
And like Angi had mentioned in the presentation as well, we would urge the cities to look at, for stakeholder discussions in particular, even gathering at a point for discussions will be a concern. You could even adopt online tools for having these stakeholder meetings where the participants can also join in. So do share the different tools that you come across that works for you as a city as well, so that others can learn from the same. So those are the questions that we have for the walking audit. So over to you, Angi, for the next part on the evaluation process.
Thank you. Okay, now, Bala, if you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Now let's take a look at the next step of rolling out in rolling out the design competition, which is to identify the best designs. So once you've received several submissions and the deadlines have closed, cities are requested to carry out this evaluation process. There are 4 simple steps towards identifying the winning design. First, and this is the immediate next step for all cities, is to identify and orient the jury. Next, you will shortlist 3 to 5 entries per site along with the jury. After that, cities are requested to put out these shortlisted entries to gather community preferences. And finally, select the winning design based on all of the above steps. Let's take a look at the first and immediate next step of identifying and orienting the jury. The cities should identify and form a jury based on the following criteria. What we're recommending is 3 members of the jury should be city officials from various relevant departments, such as the traffic police, planning departments, and any others. 2 members of the jury should be local residents. And while selecting local residents, cities must ensure gender and age diversity is well represented. At least one should be a woman. Also make sure that selected local residents for the jury are local to the specific pilot site that they are selected to judge for. 2 members of the jury should be urban technical experts. Other national and international experts can also be brought on board the jury, and as long as the total number of jury members is an odd number for the ease of decision making. Next, once the jury is identified, they must be oriented with the challenge approach and the goals. To do this, share the brief of the challenge along with a scoring template with the jury. This is a score sheet. It's a simple evaluation sheet that we will be sharing from our end with all the cities. So you would share this with the jury. Also share all relevant site information, other data collected from the walking audit, and other references to ensure that the expectations from the competition is very, very clear to the jury. Cities may host online or offline sessions as well to facilitate this process. And cities can also organize like site visits with the jury to further orient them. Do not forget to announce the details of the jury to the participants through social and print media tools. Now, once you have identified and oriented the jury, and you have received all these amazing design submissions from the participants, it's time to shortlist the design entries. So for this, first, share the entries that qualify the submission criteria with the jury. The jury can then use the scoring sheet that we have shared and shortlist the entries by themselves. An online session can be scheduled for shortlisting, or the entries can be shared offline, and the jury panel cities can host a session with the jury panel to facilitate this process. Finally, the city core team will announce the shortlisted participants after collating the scores and discussing this with the jury. At this stage, shortlisted participants are requested to share a video of them presenting the proposal. So this will help in the next stage of capturing community preferences for the shortlisted entries. So cities can be super creative in this step to capture community preferences. Some of the ideas include setting up an open streets voting event at the pilot location where shortlisted teams can even come and present their work, or putting up posters of the shortlisted designs at the pilot locations for citizens to come and vote. Using an online approach, cities can share the videos of the participants, the shortlisted teams participants presenting on social media and capture feedback, capture their votes through various online tools, and cities are free to explore these tools. So the final step is to select the winning entry. So based on the community preferences and video presentations, the jury will select the winning entry. Once this entry is selected, the jury will also share detailed comments on the winning design towards refining them further for testing it on the ground, because this is the next milestone in the challenge. The jury is also expected to share feedback on the shortlisted entries to recognize and train the next generation of fabulous designers in our country. The city is encouraged to reward other shortlisted entries as well. You could have special mentions, jury commendations, people's choice based on community preferences, or any other kind of mentions that you would like to have. This is how the winning entry must be selected by all cities. So to summarize, the 4 steps towards rolling out the design competition is to update the brief and share it with us, then spread the word, then organize the walking audit with the participants, and lastly, identify the best designs. We look forward to all cities updating and sharing their brief with us to kickstart this process and get fantastic, innovative design solutions for their pilot locations. We will now take questions from the audience on selecting the winning entries. Thank you. Venu, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Angi, for that crisp and very clear presentation. We have a couple of questions that have come in. One is on why do we need to have local residents as part of the jury?
Sure.
Would you like to take that? Yeah.
Sure. So the success of any design solution will depend on how it resolves challenges which are faced by the local citizens. So inclusion of local residents will ensure, as a part of the jury, will ensure that their requirements are always at the heart of this transformation. So that's why we think bringing the local residents into the jury would add a lot of value in this particular process.
Sure. Thank you, Ashwati. There's a question on, should we invite the jury to be part of the walking audit that the city is organizing with the participants itself?
So if needed, preferably we would say that it's better to have a separate audit for the jury members, so as to not facilitate an interaction between the jury and the participants. Sometimes there may be concerns which could arise later, and hence it might be better that we plan them separately if needed.
Sure. Thank you, Ashwati. One last question by Mr. Mukesh Malhotra. What quantifiable metrics are being used for impact assessment for this entire exercise?
Yeah, so with respect to the impact assessment, we will definitely be sharing a framework with the cities in order to, what are the measures that they should be collecting prior to the intervention and after the intervention to share with their citizens and for them to know also about the impact that these interventions bring on ground. So that is something our team will definitely be sharing with the cities soon.
Thank you so much, Ashwati. Thank you, Angi. We are coming to the end of today's session. I will just quickly take the cities through a few slides on embracing a citizen-led approach to building momentum before we wrap up the session for today. Is my screen visible, Angi? Or?
Yes, Venu, yes.
Yeah. It was great to see the different initiatives online and offline that the cities had shown during the panel discussion. And in this scripts section, we'd like to just highlight two such initiatives that we have been echoing to all of you in the workshops. It's great to see how many cities have launched this already, but it's just a reminder that if you haven't already rolled out the perception survey, the template of which we have shared with all of you, kindly do so. It is a great opportunity to understand the barriers for walking from citizens across your city. It helps to build a case for transforming streets as safe, healthy, and happy public spaces, and also gives ideas on how to scale this up to other parts of the city in the future. So kindly reach out to us for any clarifications. You can look at the guide and template on how to roll this out as well. The second component is that of launching the Open Streets campaign. So this is a photo of before and after intervention in Kohima from the Open Streets campaign. And this is a photo which has been going viral on social media very recently, and even a video that the Kohima team had prepared. And it's great to see the kind of impact and initiative that the city is taking for such works. This is yet another Open Streets initiative done by the city of Kohima. And these are just a few glimpses from some of the cities who have shared their updates through the weekly updates. I take this moment to just reinforce to all of you, all the city officers who are listening to him, to kindly share the updates of your work through the weekly updates. These are some images from Bhopal for the Open Street initiatives that they've been doing in different parts of the city, and they've been using a community engagement platform to identify new locations to take it forward as well. These are some pictures from Jabalpur. Now, to wrap up the session for today, as always, until workshop number 4, these are the points that we urge all cities to work towards. Under the design competition bucket, to update the competition brief and share it with us if you haven't done so already, to roll out the design competition, to identify and orient the jury for the design competition. For those of you who have rolled out the competition, like looking at the guidance that we've shared today, identify the jury and plan for the process ahead for evaluation, and conduct the walking audit with the participants as well. Under the bucket of community engagement, roll out the perception survey and host an open streets campaign if you haven't done so already. And also a reminder again to kindly share the weekly update form. From our side, we'll be sharing the presentation and video of this session, as well as the data of the registered participants who have signed up for the competition that your city has launched. The walking audit checklist and guide will be shared very shortly, and the weekly update forms will also reach you very soon. With that, we come to the end of online workshop 3, and I request all panelists and cities to kindly share your feedback through this online poll that we are launching right now. Here you go. Thank you so much for the feedback. It's great to see how nearly 95% of you have conveyed that the workshop was very good. And we also value the feedback that many nodal officers have been sharing with us on WhatsApp and calls as well. And we urge all the other nodal officers as well to share comments on how we can support you further going ahead. With that, a heartfelt thank you to all the panelists, cities in particular, and to all the other attendees who tuned in for this session, all the senior officials, engineers, project management consultants, and other stakeholders who tuned in on Zoom as well as YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Actually.